Everyone thinks that is morbid.
I'm just curious, how many times have you been pregnant?
When does a human get their rights?
When they're human?
When they get to when they're an adult.
Radical, life-changing messages are crazy, but you can't sound crazy, and that's unfortunately what you guys are doing right now.
I know we... Wait, you think we sound crazy? Why?
Maybe a bleeding, maybe the visual aspect is a little bit rated R, you know what I'm saying?
It's okay, maybe, but some people think, some people think that doing that to a baby is wrong, and then crazy people think showing it is wrong.
Everyone thinks that is morbid. Okay, we
doing it, not doing it. Half the people out here think doing it's okay.
Okay, but if you were starving, you would probably eat someone else's flesh. You'd be amazed at the things that our body does.
Okay, so, hey, I'm with you. I'm with you. All jokes aside, but do you think
if show that to somebody if you were advertising, hey, let's not be cannibals?
Should we? No. But should we make that normative? Somebody somewhere is starving and has to eat somebody, so we should make cannibalism legal for everybody.
No.
Exactly.
Legal, but it's what's going to happen.
But if cannibalism was legal for everybody, and people like us said, hey, this is wrong, people shouldn't be allowed to eat their children, we'd come out here with signs. I'm just saying, don't sound crazy, because your arguments need to be consistent, valid, sound.
Which part sounds crazy?
The general structure of what you're doing. We would say that this goes on in our culture and that people call it good is crazy, because they also say they believe in human rights, but this is clearly a murdered human. Someone comes up and says, showing this is crazy, which is what you said.
If you show my teeth being taken out by a dentist, which is completely legal, that's crazy to me. It's still legal, but it's crazy. It's just disgusting to see is all I'm saying.
Right, but we wouldn't have to show that, because the reason people show like human rights violations is to create awareness and cause people to change their minds or their hearts.
If I wanted to stop gun violence, I'm not going to show dead kids on a picture.
Okay, so let's move away from abortion. I just want to know.
You see what I'm saying?
I want to understand, okay? Let's move away from abortion, all right? So I'm not saying abortion and slavery are the same thing, so don't freak out. People who are fighting slavery, one of the things they often were told is like the slaves aren't mistreated, they're happy, blah, blah. So they took pictures of whipped slaves out into the street and showed whipped slaves. Said this inhumanity, this barbarous act of whipping slaves is what slavery leads to. We need to abolish slavery, right? So that was showing this wickedness in order to get society to say, oh, we need to abolish this.
That's not what stopped slavery. What stopped slavery was actually a person with power and a whole bunch of people behind him.
Right, but why did he have to do that? Because the culture was demanding.
You realize, but no one showing their backs said stop slavery.
Yeah, no, yes. Abolitionists of slavery showed images of whipped slaves in their campaign. There's one right over there if you want to look at it.
People, but that's not what changed legislation. Legislation changed by MLK, people like...
Right, so if you ask MLK what role the pictures of Emmitt Till played, what would he tell you? They showed Emmitt Till was a kid.
It was the story, not the pictures. It was the story that happened.
See, you're going to have to go look on the internet, and you're going to have to look up Emmitt Till and the showing pictures of Emmitt Till. They went and they displayed this child who was brutally beaten to death because he was black. Why? Because the culture didn't agree that black people were being mistreated. Our culture doesn't agree.
You guys with this, you catch more flies with honey.
Well, we're not trying to catch flies, but that is a neat aphorism. But don't be the person who says aphorisms. Think.
I've been thinking clearly, brother.
Think it.
We're just on different pages. It's all good.
Well, hey, we can just get to the same page by reason.
Right.
By love.
I do sales, I do marketing, I know people. I'm just saying the psyche of people attract. So when people see fear, blood, they do not.
Yeah. Like no one's going to stop and talk to us if we have signs like this.
People will.
Clearly.
Clearly. Will talk to you if you don't.
People will stop. Just as a sales marketing person, signs. People will stop and talk to us the entire time we're out here. People will stop, talk, debate, discuss, agree, disagree, take lit, not take lit, and they would not do that if we were not
it's
holding
because
signs.
I talked to these guys for 10 minutes and they had much more deep and intellectual and far more fulfilling things to say than any of their signs did. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have convinced these two.
But the signs got you to come see if
No,
they
it
were
wasn't the
smart or
signs.
not.
I know you guys because you guys come here every year. And so it's like, okay, it's about time to talk to these mother and tell them.
Hey, don't call people names when you don't know them very well.
Hey, that's what I do to the people I love. I call my mother a mother. You know?
Gotcha.
She does
Okay.
the same thing for me.
It's good to be-
I learned it from her.
It's good to be loved.
It is.
But anyway,
Absolutely.
go on.
It is good to be loved.
Go on with your thesis on how this doesn't lead to conversation.
Sounds like you're not provoking love.
I just
Are you angry?
being funny
You're just
with
being
you.
funny?
I just think it's a common thing. People, I don't really know what to do with the argument here, but I can sort of sidestep to this. There's bad marketing. I'm just like,
No, I know.
because I'm like, I mean, it wasn't
no
my
argument.
background, but I'm an artist.
There's no argument. All I'm saying is perspectively, I think that more people would be attracted to the conversation if it wasn't so obtrusive.
Since we're at an art festival, do you think that art always needs to be like passe and like status quo? Or do you think it should ever challenge
I love
norms?
gory. I like it. I like dark things.
Wait, you love what?
Gory. I like horror. I like stuff like that. So it's not like that. It's but this is a
Real?
a real human. Yeah,
It is a real
absolutely.
human.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, so like,
But here's
so
the
I'm
other
an
thing.
artist.
I'm
All
99
of these signs, I drew all of them. This is like literally my art. They're not gonna let me like have a booth, sell prints of
Yeah,
this.
you could.
Well, I guess I should try.
You could.
Generally not the thing that they approve.
You should probably see all the nudist stuff in the trans.
Well, no, that's fine. That's culturally acceptable. That's protected.
Right.
This is hate speech. That's protected speech.
I disagree with the hate
So-
speech thing. I don't
so-
think it's
yeah.
hate speech.
Well, I'm not saying you do, but I'm saying like we're actually like pushing back on something that is culturally
Accepted.
accepted,
Yeah.
and it's passe to just kind of blindly just go about it. So like, should artists say, you know what, I disagree with this blindly accepted human
Oh,
rights
yes.
violation.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to draw it. I'm going to go out and I'm going to stand with a sign and I'm going to talk to people.
Yeah, you can do that. All I'm telling you is that's not the best way to do it. That's all I'm saying.
This is one way to do it.
Sure, but so is kicking down someone's door and saying, "Hey,
Well, yeah, no, compare. Just
there's one way to do a million things."
I do it multiple ways. So tell me the better ways.
The better way to do it is to drop the signs, go up to people, talk to them, have a chicken leg in your hand, and say, "Hey, man, my name's X. What do you do?" "Okay, cool. Listen, man, I know this sounds a little bit weird. You've probably had people talk to you about this before, but
Yeah.
let me give you my pitch. If you just let me have 2 minutes, I promise it'll be worth your story."
So I get
And
you,
then bam.
but here's the deal. If I hold a sign, just for your consideration,
Sure.
marketing wise, so I can hold a sign and I don't have to yell at anyone. I don't have to go up and be like, "Hey, man, because I have a chicken leg, you have to listen to me." Someone can come up, they
Just
can
be yourself. Be yourself.
right, but someone can choose to talk to me or not, and they know what I'm going to talk about.
They don't know what you're going to talk about.
Well, generally.
If you have a sign, they will, but not if you. But that's what scares
But
people
so-
away. You got to.
But see, like, I'm letting
are
people
already set in
choose.
stone.
I'm letting people
Guys,
choose.
People are set in stone in their ways. They're not going to be. You're not going to change anybody's opinion online.
Oh, I do all the time.
Well, then you got to send me those links.
I have a file of people saying, "You changed my mind." I do it all
That'd
the
be
time.
awesome. Send me that and tell me, because that's very impressive as a business perspective. And you got to think about it as like getting the masses. That's not how it works, because 99% of the time they're going to go home and say, "Wow, those people are just like how I thought. They're doing the same, and they're going to get pissed off." And then you know what people do?
Which would be unjust
Okay.
for them to judge and make like, "Hey, those people were dumb because I didn't stop and talk to them." That would be dumb of them.
I mean, yeah, but
You don't look at
but
someone
everyone's
and then
dumb.
judge
Yeah, but
them.
you got to look at
Yeah.
the people you're talking to as dumb.
I agree with you. You gotta think about it.
Yeah.
The problem is like where I don't agree with you as someone who does this at least 4 times a month.
Sure.
Talk to hundreds of people
Yeah.
that I would not talk to. I've thought about, what if we tried it without signs? Dude, super hard,
Okay. Why was it hard?
super weird, super weird.
Because
Yeah.
you got to really get to know people instead of like leaning
Well, no,
on this
no. So
thing.
if I'm talking to a neighbor, and I can really get to know them, I can do this sort of like friendship evangelism thing you're talking about. Like, we can talk about lawnmowers first or something. But like, this is a form of not only culturally acceptable but celebrated activism that's been done throughout the ages in opposition to any and every human rights violation. It's part of it. It's not the only thing we do. Not at all. There's online, there's personal, there's slow, there's writing books, there's like doing the thing you're talking about. We can do that. But for this 3 hour window, 3 or 4 hour window, is something to do. And if I compare it to me like watching Netflix, I'm gonna talk to way more people holding this sign about this than I would if I was at home on YouTube. I don't.
How many times have you guys done it without signs?
So I've done it like once or twice without signs, and it's such a strange, awkward.
Why
it's
is it
like
awkward?
so basically your profession, right? Marketing. So if you're like, I want to go share some ideas that are counterculture, so on and so forth. I am an artist. I'll use my art. I'll print it. I'll use technology. I'll put it out there. I'll think about what's written, what it means, and so on and so, and then I'll go and I'll be in public places and let people choose whether to talk to me or not.
You know what the difference
That
between
I
artists
compare
and
that.
marketers are is networks, sir. Name one artist who is a real famous artist back in the day who was very popular. Nobody. No artists.
Picasso.
Picasso? He wasn't famous until his very later years. If you actually researched him, his last 10 years, he did art for the first 40. Have you watched Men in Black?
So just full disclosure, like I'm a historian and an artist, and I studied Picasso.
Okay.
He's famous for much of his artistic life. Yes, he had early periods like any.
Is he the only one?
No, Salvador Dali. How many do you want? Do you want me to mention? How many do you want me to give you before you sort of like abandon that?
I guess two's pretty phenomenal because I did not know that, honestly. But
Toulouse-Lautrec.
Huh?
Toulouse-Lautrec. Alphonse Mucha. Tons of artists.
Traditionally all I'm saying,
I just don't want to grant your point because it's a false
my
historical
point is
thing, but what's the point?
My point is, traditionally speaking, artists have no way connecting to people on the scale of people who do marketing, business, because artists dive into their creativity, their culture. Most artists are geniuses. Geniuses are traditionally crazy, okay? The real good ones.
So there you call me crazy again.
No, you're not a genius that I know of.
Well, no, you said most artists.
Most geniuses. Most geniuses are crazy.
I thought you said most artists were geniuses.
No. Most artists are geniuses. There's a lot of artists. Too many of them for me.
Because I'm trying to, I want to know what you're saying. So you're saying that artists don't know marketing.
No, I'm not saying artists don't know marketing. I'm saying that the road to artistry is a lesser road of attraction than to go out there and to talk to people and network intercommunicationally. If you had your own booth, you might collect more people. But you said it's allowed.
Someone sitting at home thinking, you know what? There's an abortion holocaust going on. 1 in 4 women are, thinking it's okay to terminate a human being in the womb. I believe humans are valuable, made in the image of God. They're my neighbors. I follow Jesus. He says, love my neighbors as myself. I want to do something about it. That person's going to go, well, what can I do about it? Oh, just so happens that I have the ability to draw.
Okay, I have an idea then.
So let's go do it.
I went back to my whole thing of you catch more bees with honey than vinegar. Why don't you start drawing beautiful pictures of women keeping their children instead of just actual dead?
You mean like the one right in front of you? Anyways, back to the video.
So I want to challenge abortion.
I know, but you can still do it in a more positive light and saying, hey, the person didn't get one.
Well, yeah. I mean, I do both things. I do both things. I'm not
All
against
I'm saying
it.
is
This is created in the image of God. It's kind of pretty, right?
My whole point is the violent stuff is the big deterrent.
Yeah, but it is violence. We're fighting a violence. We don't want to hide. So people want to cover up abortion and hide it. So people who fight hidden evils generally like to expose unfruitful deeds of darkness instead of participating in them. So we're Christians. I don't know where you're at on that.
Here's the issue. Okay, so I agree with you. For instance, the whole war, when the guy, like the war in Vietnam, they had to show the people on Time magazine with the kid baby held. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That brought people's attention. So I get where you're coming from with bring the blood to the people's faces. However, those we can all worldwide internationally agree on. This, unfortunately, is more of a spiritual issue.
Which is why it has to be done.
Which is why it has to be done on a more communicative aspect rather than, hey, blam aspect. Because it works traditionally, but this is something different. This comes from a book.
So-
yeah, and we can talk about the
Yeah.
book being the actual word of God.
Yeah,
and, and all that. But
It
you
does-
have to understand.
it is connected to that,
No,
yes.
but you have to understand that 90% of the world doesn't agree with that.
Right.
So you have to come from. Anyone can be persuaded, but it has to be how they're persuaded. I'm telling you, in Oklahoma right now, here in this 2023, it's not going to work. And it might be working, but it's not working as well as it should be. And I'm not even on you guys' side.
Humans don't have right side.
Humans absolutely have a right. So we have the right to.
When does a human get their rights?
When does a human get their rights?
When they're human?
When they get to when they're an adult.
So human.
Do kids get to drive their car?
No,
do kids
human.
get to get tattoos?
That's the right to drive.
No,
That's not the
we
right to
provoke-
live.
We provoke.
I'm just talking about the right to live. When do humans get the right to live, to not be murdered?
Okay, the right. To
When is
live.
murder prohibited?
I'm just curious, how many times have you been pregnant?
Last I counted, actually, I am in that category of people who don't think men can get pregnant.
Well, I wish you had a uterus.
I was in a uterus.
Yeah, but you didn't have to have
My children were in uteruses.
one. You didn't have that.
I know. But human beings,
You have no right.
every human out here has been inside a uterus. I believe in human rights. You believe in uterus rights. It's very strange. Your right to do what? To do whatever you want to? So that means murder a born child? Because that would fall under the category of do whatever you want to? She said my right to do whatever.
You're arguing with them. You gotta.
No. I'm not being unloving. I smile, I talk.
Well, you have to be. You're presenting God. You're presenting the message of the Almighty. You got to present love, man.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, someone who kind of cusses at you and runs away, if you're like, you're not being mean.
So it's comedy. It's comedy.
No, it's not comedy. I just smile so they don't feel attacked.
Is this good marketing? Buy this shirt. Buy this. Buy this. Buy this.